I suspect that restricted choice is very commonly misunderstood. Let's have a look. This is a really interesting hand on a few levels. Basically, they bid to 6 hearts, and then West led a third best spade, so that would be the 5 of spades. Declarer won this with the ace and then played a heart to the ace. And on this, the jack of hearts fell. So what Declarer decided to do next was to play a club to the king, which West won and returned another spade. So at this point, Declarer won this with the king and then returned another club back to hand and then finessed the hearts, which worked. He cashed the king of hearts and then roughed the spade back in hand and drew the last round of trumps. So on the play of the last trump, East can't pitch a club, so East has to pitch a diamond. After that, when Declarer cashed the jack of clubs, West can't pitch the queen of spades because that will make the 10 of spades good. So West had to pitch a diamond. And at this point, West has 2 diamonds and a spade left. East has 2 diamonds and a clubs left. And no matter who has the queen of diamonds, Declarer can now make his contract. So I thought this was a very nice squeeze. I mean, this is what happened. I don't think I really need to elaborate anymore on the squeeze. But what I actually wanted to talk about was Declarer's finesse of the 10 of hearts. Like, should Declarer have finesse the 10 of hearts? So I'm assuming, so after the first heart was played, let's just say West played the 4, and then, you know, when Declarer played the second round, let's just say West played the 5. Of course, West could have played any other combination, but let's just say West played the 5 and 4. You can replace this with whatever combination later, as you'll see. So what are the possible West holdings? So West can have just the 5-4, West can have 7-5-4, West can have 10-5-4, or West can have 10-7-5-4. So if West has 10-5-4, it doesn't matter what Declarer does, like you cash or finesse, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, so we can exclude that case. But then, as you can see, there is only one combination where it is right to finesse the 10, while there are 2 combinations where it is actually better to play for the drop. At this point, some of you might say, aha, Jazz, I know you're trying to trick me. I know there's this thing called restricted choice, and so if East holds both the jack and the 10, then East would play them with equal probability. So each of those cases where it is better to play for the drop only occurs half as often as the last case where it is right to take the finesse. So even though there's 2 cases to 1, playing for the drop and playing for the finesse are equally likely to work. And you are right. Half right to be exact, because there is one more thing to consider, which is if there's restricted choice with the East hand, there's also restricted choice with the West hand. So when West holds just a 5 and a 4, West will always play the 5 and a 4. When West holds 7-5-4, there are 3 ways for West to play 2 cards from the 7, 5, and 4, and West will only play exactly the 5 and 4 1/3 of the time. And same thing for West holding 10-7-5-4. So in the end, it is still 2 times better to play for the drop than to take the finesse. All that said, there is one last thing to consider, which is, would East actually be able to force cut from the Jack 10 small? And I think this would depend on what level you're currently playing at. So if you're, for example, just playing in a social club game, then and East plays the Jack really fast, then I think it's pretty unlikely that East is force cutting. But if you're playing in like a high level tournament, then I think it's very likely that East is force cutting, and you should take that into account. So if you're playing in a social game and you know like East is not capable of force carding, then actually the right play is to play for the finesse, because now the finesse is actually twice as likely as the drop. But if you're playing in like the World Championships or something, then it's gonna force card any day, and it is better to play for the drop. So I actually first saw this on Facebook. It was posted by and shared by Uttam Gupta from India, and I asked him for his permission if I could share this, and he said, yeah, sure, of course. On a side note, I have also started like Google Forms in case you guys have like an interesting hand that you thought, that is worth sharing. That said, I might not share everything. I'll check it once in a while and then just pick a few maybe. But yeah, so that link, you can find it in my YouTube profile, and I guess I'll be linking it in the description below as well. So hope you enjoyed this video, and see you next time.